Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. In today's video, we're going to be doing the third installment in my series where I read 5 queer SFF books and vlog my experience reading them. Usually these are like wildly successful vlogs and that I like love every book that I read because this is my favorite genre of book. So I wanted to do a new edition. I think it's been like a year. I think I do one a year roughly. And this is actually the second time filming the intro because I like made a set TBR and then have like decided to read other things. So we're going to do a tentative TBR, but it's subject to change so that I don't have to film this again. First, I'm planning to read Dark Rise by C.S. Picot, which is a YA fantasy. I am also planning to read Freya Marks's new book, Sword Crossed, which is an adult fantasy. I'm so excited for this one. And it's so pretty, it's got sprayed edges. Isn't she pretty? Another one with sprayed edges is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This one has bright orange sprayed edges. This is a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I read like in 2020, I think. And I really loved it and I love TJ Klune, so I'm excited to read this new one. And I think it basically just continues Arthur and Linus's story. I'm also planning to read A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. This is an adult romantasy. And then I am also planning to read The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This is an adult sapphic fantasy. Not sure how much romance is involved, but I do think it has sapphic main characters. So I'm very excited for all of these. It is likely that these are the books that I will read in this vlog, but again, subject to change because I do have a number of queer SFF books and something else might catch my fancy. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to read the 2 new releases and I'm definitely going to read Dark Rise because I've already started it. Unbelievable that I haven't read A Taste of Golden Iron or The Jasmine Throne, so this is my most likely TBR, and hopefully I won't change it up again. But even if I do, again, tentative TBR. This is what I'm thinking of reading. Either way, let's get into it and find out. So the first book I've decided to start is Dark Rise by C.S. Picot. And I really like this book so far. It's good. This is a YA, I think it's going to be fantasy romance, although I'm really not sure who the love interest is yet, which is interesting. I'm on page 172, chapter 15 of like 450. Yeah, 450 pages. So I'm like a third of the way through. And this book's kind of different than I expected it to be, although I am really enjoying it. Basically, we're following our main character, Will. Will has been running from something for as long as he can remember. And he's not really quite totally sure what it is that he's running from. He just knows that these men came and killed his mother and his mother told him to run. And so he has been running for the past few years. Finally though, these men that were chasing his mother and have been chasing him have found him, and he gets kind of tangled up in everything. And he also finds out that his mother was involved with this group called the Stewards. So in this world there's basically like a light side and a dark side in this magical war that's going on that like the normal people don't know about. The darkness is who has been chasing Will, and the darkness is like trying to like reincarnate the king of darkness or something, and the stewards, the light side, are trying to prevent this from happening. So basically Will's mother was like a part of the light side, and so Will ends up going to them like for protection and like joining up with them kind of. And it's just, I think that I was kind of confused by the title of this book called Dark Rise and like the fact that he's in this like dark, like I was thinking that we were gonna be on the dark side, and I'm kind of confused that we're on the light side, especially when the light side feels super culty. It's like everyone's walking around wearing white, like everyone is like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's giving weird vibe. But I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to like the people on the light side. I don't know. I don't know what's going on yet. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. Maybe I am supposed to be on the light side. The dark side seems pretty awful. But like, there's no good side in a war, you know? I think maybe I'm thinking about this too much. I guess we'll find out. I'm enjoying it so far. I do really like it. I like Will. I'm excited to see. I mean, because this is pitched as being gay. So I'm like, okay, where's the gay? Feel like I have usually identified a love interest by this point in the book, and usually I prefer romantasy to fantasy with a dash of romance, but this is a YA book and it almost is reading kind of like nostalgic YA for me. Hunger Games, Divergent kind of things. Like this is definitely like an updated, upscale version of that, but it is like giving me those feelings, those vibes. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. The writing's really good. Characters are good. It's very interesting. I'm very interested to see what the heck is going on and what the heck is going to happen next. And I can't wait to keep reading and find out. And I will let you know if we're supposed to be on the dark side or the light side, because I don't know right now. Okay, we're continuing the streak of this historically being a very successful vlog series on my channel because I fucking loved Dark Rise. It was so good. Easy 5 stars. It was so incredible. The twists and turns at the end, I was just like flipping pages like crazy, needing to know what was going to happen. And I didn't expect what happened, but also I kind of did, because in the beginning, the previous clip, I was like, it can't be so simple as like good versus evil like that. I don't believe that that's what this is. Like, I feel like there's something more to it. I was right. I was right. The way that it went, I was not expecting. But I can't wait to freaking read the next book. Like, I wish, like, I want to read it right now. I want to read it right now, but I'm trying not to purchase any more books for the end of the year, because the end of the year TBR is set for me. So I'm gonna try and wait until the new year to read the sequel. But oh my god, it was so good. And the third book's not even out yet, so I won't even be able to finish the series. Oh my god. Crazy. I loved this book though. I loved the main characters. I loved the world. The writing was so good. So good. It was incredible. I was reading this book for another vlog like right before Dark Rise, and the writing in this book was so bad. Like, if you watched my vlog, I'll talk more about this book there. But like, just comparing the writing of these two books, reading them back to back, was wild, because the writing in this book is so incredible and so immersive and so just like compulsively readable. Like, I could not stop reading this book. It was so freaking good. And this is YA, so there's not as much romance as I wanted there to be, but there were crumbs left. There were crumbs, and I was eating those crumbs up. And I cannot wait for that to continue. James, like the evil character, is so fascinating to me, and I cannot wait to get more of him in the next book and see his relationship with Will. The end scene in this book was fucking crazy. I just cannot get over it. I'm so excited to read the next book. Like, I want to do it immediately. Oh, it was so good. I feel like this is a rare YA fantasy that's like so good. Like, any fantasy reader would like this book. It was just incredible, and I really liked the aspects of like found family and friendship, and I loved how loyal Will was to his friends, loyal to them like over the good of the world, basically. Which was so cool. I just find myself still thinking about these characters and like wondering what they're up to, wonder what they're doing, and wanting to know what happens next. So yeah, if you haven't read this book, read it. It was incredible. One of my favorites of the year. Spoiler alert, one of my favorites of the year. So excited to read the next book. Can't wait. 5 stars. And then I did also start Sword Crossed by Freya Marks. This is another romantasy book. This one is adult, pitched as high heat, low stakes, sharp steel. And basically we have this main character named Maddie. And Maddie is like the heir to this family business, but his family business is struggling. They are like a very well-renowned family in like the business world, and they're pretty like high up. It's kind of Regency feeling, but fantasy. So basically they're like one of the powerful, like well-known families in this world, but no one knows that their business is like about to be bankrupt. But Maddie is arranged to be married to this daughter from this other powerful house that's like an up-and-comer, but they are genuinely wealthy, and so their alliance will give their family like old money status, but also save Maddie's family from bankruptcy, because the marriage will come with like money, a dowry or whatever. So they're both like have reasons to be in this political aligned marriage, which I enjoy because I feel like arranged marriages sometimes are kind of on shaky grounds, but this one makes sense to me. Maddie, his like whole life is hinging on this marriage going through, and in this world sometimes marriages are challenged by a sword duel. Maddie cannot fight, so he needs to hire a swordman to stand up beside him at his wedding, and so he ends up hiring Luca. And Luca is really the only one Maddie can afford. Luca is new to town. He doesn't have any reviews under his belt, but he seems to be a talented swordsman. Maddie hires him. They did have an unfortunate meeting prior though, where Luca swindled Maddie out of some money, kind of in exchange for Maddie not reporting Luca to the feds or the cops or whatever. He agrees to give him a discount on the sword services. These two end up like practicing dueling together. I am currently on page 88. I've read 7 chapters, so I've really just started. It's like almost 400 pages long. Also, this is such a beautiful edition. I love it. So Maddie and Luca are currently getting to know each other. They have struck their deal, and now sparks are flying. So they're both like very clearly attracted to each other, and it does seem that this world is like fairly queer normative, so it's not really like there's no issues with same-sex couples being together. Maddie has this political marriage thing happening. Luca seems to have his own shady past that he's kind of trying to run away from. We don't really know a ton about it yet, but yeah, it's very interesting so far. I love Freya Marks. She has written some of my favorite romantasy books. This one feels no different. This one might even be better. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really loving it, and I cannot wait to read more of it. I might try and get into more of it this afternoon. So far, so good. So I can't wait. And I will update you when I'm finished or if something crazy happens. Streak is still alive. Another 5-star book has been found. I loved this book. It was so good. It was so cute. I loved it. Maddie and Luca were so cute together. I really loved this world and I loved their romance. I loved how it progressed through like enemies to friends to lovers. It was just so good. And I loved all the planning in this, how they were just like so hopelessly obsessed with each other but couldn't like figure out how to be together. Even though the solution was kind of obvious, at least to me from the beginning, that solution is how this book ended up, which was also great to see and perfect, and I really loved it. This is definitely kind of low fantasy, like low stakes fantasy, I guess. I mean, it's advertised as that. I don't know if I would say it's high heat, but there is some spice. I could have done with a little bit more, but that's just me. But overall, I loved this. I thought it was such a solid romantasy. It was just a perfect, like, standalone, short, cute, quick read with a great romance, a great world, and a great plotline. So if that is something you're in the market for, I would definitely recommend this one. I love a low commitment romantasy where I don't have to read 80 books or 80,000 pages to get to the point. So I really liked everything about this one. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I loved it. 5 stars. And I've also started the next book for this vlog, which I'm also loving, and that is A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. This one has been on my list since it came out for so long. It's been out for like almost 3 years now probably, and I've literally owned it since then and been meaning to read it since then, and I, again, can't believe that it's taken me so long to read this book because it is so good. I'm currently on chapter 8, so I am like pretty much exactly halfway through the book. It's so good so far. This one is definitely a lot slower paced than the other 2 we've read so far, which I don't hate. It is really giving me very strong A Strange and Stubborn Endurance vibes by Foz Meadows, which I fucking love that book. That is another 5-star romantasy book for me. And this one is giving me very similar vibes. It's very like, there's like a mystery, there's some kind of like undercover like scheme going on. Our main characters are just very slowly coming to know and trust one another and are very unsure of each other at first, and they are just like kind of finally at the halfway point beginning to admit that they have feelings for each other to themselves, not even to each other, just to themselves. So it has been a 250-page slow burn so far. We had our first physical interaction at the 50% mark, like just before, so at least they're giving me some crumbs, but not much yet. But yeah, anyway, I'm loving this so far. Let me explain what it's about. This is a sort of take on prince and bodyguard trope. We have our prince Kadu. Kadu is kind of in a precarious spot in his family right now. So his sister's the sultan and she just had a child. Kadu and the father of his sister's child are not really getting along, not seeing eye to eye. Frankly, that man seems like a creep and he seems like he's up to something and might be involved in this larger conspiracy, but we don't exactly know yet what is going on. But either way, Kadu's sister, the Sultan, is kind of put in this like precarious, tricky position where she kind of feels like she has to choose between her brother, the father of her daughter. Kadu kind of gets involved in this kind of incident that portrays him in a negative light to his sister. So he is in kind of like a place of needing to kind of prove himself again to his sister, to the royal family, to everyone in the household, and he kind of feels a bit exiled, a bit disliked. He also has an anxiety problem. He suffers from panic attacks as well, and he feels a lot of like shame around this, and so he doesn't let a lot of people get close to him, and he really has a lot of trouble like asking for help, asking for things that he needs. He doesn't want to be a burden. Very relatable character. At least to me personally, so I really love Kadu, but he is kind of trying to prove his worth, basically. Because of this incident, like his lead bodyguard was involved in this incident as well, and he has also been demoted within the castle. Kado's sister assigns him a new bodyguard, who is Evermer. The bodyguards in this world are basically like attendants, bodyguards, soldiers, sort of politicians, like all rolled into one, and so they kind of like know everything. They know all the state secrets. They know how to take care of them. They're with them all the time. So it's like a very like intimate kind of bond they have with their bodyguards. Basically, Evermer is like the perfect example of somebody in his position. Like, he's very rigid, he's very militant, he's very like exact in everything he does. He doesn't like to show a lot of emotion, and he also knew some of the people that were tied up in this incident with Kado, and he kind of sees Kado as at fault. He doesn't really like him at first, and so he definitely presents like a very chilly front at first, and Kado is like a very sensitive, gentle baby, and this is very difficult for him. But the two kind of begin to as they spend more time together, get to know one another better, and there is some pining and some serious attraction happening between the two of them. And I've really liked how it's built. It's felt very realistic. The characters are so real and so well developed. I can tell that this author just really cares about these characters in this world. Like, everything about it is so rich and so beautifully drawn up. Like, it's just an incredible read. I feel like if you like fantasy worlds, like, this is a really interesting one, and a lot of time and attention to detail is spent on creating the world, which I have really enjoyed. It definitely is a slower paced read, so if you don't like that, I wouldn't recommend this. I don't always love it, but I'm willing to put up with it because I feel like everything else about it is so good. It really does lend itself well to building that like tension up in like the slow burn romance aspect of it, because you're just like, oh my god, when is this gonna happen? And then when something finally does, the payoff is so much bigger. It feels so much more worth it, you know, because you spent so much time with these characters and getting to know them and getting to fall in love with them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. Even though it's a little bit slow paced, I'm loving it, and I do feel like now it is starting to pick up. Like, I feel like the first 200 or so pages were a little bit slow, but in this last chapter, which the chapters are really long, the last chapter was literally like 60 pages. So much happened. The like mystery that's in this book too is getting interesting and getting exciting. Things are being found out, and like I mentioned, there's kind of been some breakdown of the barrier between Evermer and Kado, so they're like, you know, getting a little closer, getting a little more intimate. So I'm very excited to see where that heads and where we get to, and I really do hope that it's not G-rated. That's my only request. Alexandra, please give me a little bit of space at least. Pretty please. But either way, I think I'm gonna love this one. It's so good so far. I can definitely see myself rating this one 5 stars as well. So I'm gonna go keep reading, and I will update you once I'm finished. Hello. Elvis is on the wall behind me because I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. But I wanted to give you an update because not yesterday, but the night before, in like the wee hours of the morning, I did finish A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. I loved this book. It was so good. I literally was not planning to finish it that night. Like, I had kind of given up on reading and I was trying to go to sleep, but the anxiety monster didn't want me to go to sleep. So I was like, let me just read for a minute and maybe that'll make me tired, put me to sleep. Popped to magnesium and was like, okay, let's try and fall asleep. Did I fall asleep? No. I binged the last 250 pages of that book. And do I regret it? Absolutely not. It was amazing. I loved every second of it. It was literally so good. Like, I could not stop reading the last 250 pages. I just devoured them. I devoured them and I loved every minute of it. It literally was so good. I loved the writing. I loved the characters. I loved how the romance progressed. I just thought it was so beautiful. I was like, I have no words. I just love this book so much because it made me experience like such a gamut of emotions. Like, I was laughing hysterically at things. There's this character named Tadek who Kado is like kind of involved with at the beginning of the book, but it's very much like a physical relationship. And like a platonic friendship, but there's no like romantic feelings between them. Kado like wants to break it off because he doesn't it's just not fulfilling in the way that he wants it to be. Tadek is very like kind of abrasive in the beginning of the book, and I really did not think that I was gonna come around to Tadek, but I definitely came around to him. I loved him in the second half of the book. He was so funny. Like, I was literally laughing out loud at things that he was saying. He was hilarious, and I came to love him like just as much as Kato and Evermer. Like, I loved him. And I did like all the characters in this book. I did get really frustrated with Kato's sister because I was like, I don't know. It just took her a long time to like come around to Kato's side, and I'm like, if your own sister isn't on your side, I'm like, well, who are you gonna trust? Like, why is she being shitty? Like, I kind of understood, but she was like picking her man over her brother, and I'm like, girl, you cannot pick your man over your brother, especially when your man is like very obviously slimy, very obviously giving red flags. I don't care if he's a father of your daughter, like, he's a worm. Get rid of him and listen to your fucking brother. So that annoyed me, but it annoyed me on like an in the story level. Like, I don't know, like, it didn't annoy me. It didn't take away from my enjoyment of the story. It was a part of the enjoyment of the story, if that makes sense. To be like, okay, girl, get your shit together. That was what was great about this book too, is like, I could tell that Alex put so much love and care into these characters, and they just loved them to death. That really like shone through in the book, in the narrative, and everything. It was just amazing and immaculate. They were just such well done characters. Like, they were flawed, they had issues, they had things they had to work through, but they all like learned throughout the course of the story and became better people. And I loved them so much, like, flaws and all. I loved these characters to death. And I just loved how Kato and Evermer's relationship grew. I just loved how like gruff Evermer was and like not willing to like admit his emotions, but he just cared so much and he cared so deeply, and I just love that kind of character. It just makes me soft, it makes me giddy, and I just loved seeing that. I loved seeing that relationship. I don't know what else I have to say. I really loved how everything ended up too, and there was quite a bit of like lack of communication, which was frustrating, but I don't know, it ratchets up the tension for me, so I'm not really a huge like anti-miscommunication person, but if you are, you might be frustrated by that in this book. I also did find the ending a bit abrupt. Like, everything else in this book happens in so much detail and with so much like nuance, and we're like in the minutia of every thought and feeling and expression of every character. I don't know if there could have been an ending that I didn't feel was abrupt because of that, but I did want the story to like extend on for like another 40 pages, or at least have an epilogue or something. Like, it just felt very like cut off, done, and I felt like there were some loose threads that were still like not perfectly tied up, and I wanted them to be tied up. There is like a second novella that follows Tadek, so I don't know if more insight is taken into that, but I feel like that's more of like Tadek's story, and it almost sounds like it's kind of like a story of his past or something, so I'm not sure that that would really give me like what I want. I want a sequel. Alexander Rowland, I want a sequel to this book is what I actually want. I'm fine with like an established relationship sequel, and we just like see how their relationship go public with it or whatever and see the consequences of that. Like, I would love a book like that, so consider that, please. If you're watching this video, which you're probably not, but I love this book. It's 5 stars. This is crazy. Is this gonna be like a clean sweep 5-star reading vlog? That would be insane. That would be crazy. We're 3 for 3 though. We're 3 for 3. I feel like Dark Rise was kind of a wild card, and I feel like, yeah, Dark Rise is the only wild card so far. I feel like the Jasmine Throne could be a wild card as well. That's not the next one we're reading. The next one we're reading is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, and I don't feel like that's a wild card because every TJ Klune book I read, I get 5 stars. So I have started Somewhere Beyond the Sea though, so let's talk about that. I'm about 150 pages, 160 pages into this one, so like a third into it. It's so good. It's so good. This, if you didn't know, is a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and in it we're following Arthur this time, whereas The House in the Cerulean Sea followed Linus. Linus was like an auditor for the Department of the Care of Magical Creatures or something. That's not what it is. That's the Harry Potter name. Ew. Anyway, basically this world is like magical creatures and humans exist in the same world, except in this world humans have the power and magical creatures are looked down upon. Spoiler alert for House in the Cerulean Sea. And Arthur runs a orphanage home for orphaned magical children. Linus comes to basically audit this for the government, audit this home for the government. He realizes that the government is corrupt, that magical creatures, that magical people are being discriminated against, are being treated poorly, are being treated as less than human. He comes to this epiphany, realizes he doesn't want to be doing this, and he falls in love with Arthur. Anyway, this book, Arthur and Linus are together and both like co-run this orphanage, this home, are the fathers to these children. Arthur, though, gets invited to the government to testify about what happened to him as a child. This is really just a ruse, though, to like make him look bad, and they're gonna send some new auditor out to audit the home, and basically there's this like evil character in the government that wants to like ban magical creatures, basically magical people. It's all this big farce. But there's also this other aspect where they're introducing a new child into the home. So we're learning about David as well, who is the new character, and his kind of like adoption into the family. That's the basic plot, basic lowdown. Basically, it's Arthur and his family versus the government. Arthur and his family's attempts to prove that magical people are human beings and deserve the same rights. Great fun book to read at this time in our political climate. But it kind of is, because it's a very like escapism, and I trust TJ Klune will give me a happy ending, and honestly that is really what I need right now. I need to escape and pretend that there will be a happy ending to life. Anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm liking it. It's really good. I love being back in this world. I love being back with these characters. Everything is so sweet and lovely, and the freaking government lady did make my blood boil quite a bit. She seems very evil. So I'm interested to see how it goes. From the description, like, I feel like everything I've read so far was talked about in the description, so I don't know where we're gonna go now. I do think that there's gonna be somebody that comes to the island to try and like fuck things up. And I really hope that everything works out well for this little cute found family, because they don't deserve any pain or suffering. That is where I'm at with this reading vlog. So I just have to read the second half of Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Hopefully I'll do that tomorrow and the next day. I'm on a 4-day trip currently, so I have plenty of reading time. Because I read a lot more on days that I work than days that I'm at home, ironically. Yeah, and I also have the Jasmine Throne with me, which is the last book that we're gonna read for this vlog. So that's the plan. I will keep you updated, but that is where we are right now. Tell me now in the comments, do you think this is gonna be a clean sweep 5-star vlog? Make your predictions now and you'll win a prize, maybe. Hello, I'm here with some updates. Are we continuing our streak? Yeah, we are. We're continuing our streak. This one is 5 stars as well. I loved this book. It was so fun to be back in the world of the House in the Cerulean Sea, being reintroduced to all these characters. It had been so long since I had read the first book, like 2020, and I was really hesitant going in. I'm not always sure if I love a sequel to a book that had a conclusion. I think sometimes it can be very like fan servicey and feeling unnecessary, which like, you could argue that about this book, but I thought that it was really well done and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a story that also needed to be told. For me, it really had all of the same like magic and whimsy and feelings that the previous book did. There's so much in here that like just made me laugh out loud. I loved the storyline with David and then being like the new kid and coming to learn how lovely like what family means and what it means to have somebody love you unconditionally, even be like allowed to make mistakes and figure yourself out and still have people there. And I really enjoyed like the kind of parable of what is happening now in our political climate reflected in this book, and seeing the good win out over the evil was just very inspiring and gives me hope, you know, even though sometimes I don't have any when I remember that I live in the real world and not in TJ Klune book. But it is nice to have that form of escapism, a reminder that there are people out there in the world that believe like this is how we should be. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to be too morbid on Maine, but in conclusion, I loved this book. I thought it deserved to be a sequel. I enjoyed every second of reading it. I thought it was a really good, really powerful, really profound story, along with being funny and lovable and wonderful. I loved this story. I loved being back in the world and spending more time with these characters, and I definitely think that it's worth picking up. 5 stars. Then, in the meantime, I also have started The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This is our final book for this vlog, and I feel like this one is kind of a wild card. I have read this author's like other romantasy series and did enjoy it, although it was too straight for me. So I feel like this is the perfect thing because I already know that I like this author's writing style. I already know that I like their world building, and I just wanted some queer characters, and that is what this book is. This is a sapphic romantasy book, and it actually has a pretty similar vibe to Tasha Suri's other books. It is a fantasy world like inspired by the history and epics of India. I feel like that really shines through. It's a different, albeit similar world to the one Tasha created in her like Empire Sand Realm of Ash series. And so I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying being back in that kind of writing style, that kind of vibe of a world. This book is definitely a bit different though. We are following multiple different characters, but I would say the two main characters are Priya and Malini. Priya is a maid in the castle. She definitely has a sort of backstory. She was what was called a temple child of this previous like race of peoples that have been kind of wiped out and been made subservient to the current emperor. And Malini is the current emperor's sister. She's a princess. She has been disgraced because she's refused to kind of cow to her brothers, the emperor's demand. So he has imprisoned her in the castle where Priya works, and Priya ends up like being assigned to take care of the princess. They kind of form this like unlikely bond, this unlikely alliance, and they also have an unlikely attraction to one another. And so far we've gotten a lot of world building. We've gotten a lot of like relationship development, character development. Like I said, there is multiple different perspectives that we're following, not just Priya and Malini, but they are the main focus. But we're kind of getting backstory and like other side quests from these other various characters. I am really enjoying it so far. I definitely prefer like being with Priya and Malini, and we kind of just got to this sort of turning point in their relationship. I am about 50% of the way through this book, maybe a little bit less, but roundabout there. I am really liking it so far. I do think it's a little slow because like I said, it's mostly just been world building. There's not been a ton happening so far. It's been a lot of setup. With this turning point that we just reached, I'm kind of hoping that the plot will pick up in the latter half of the book. And also hopefully the romance between Priya and Malini will pick up in the latter half of the book. But I know that this is the first book in a trilogy, so I'm not expecting too much, but I do want some yearning. I do want some pining. I do want some drama. So hopefully that will be given to me in the second half of the book. But like I said, I am really enjoying it so far. The writing style is really good. I am enjoying the characters, the story, the world, all of that. And I'm very interested to see where we go with this, because it does kind of seem like there is a lot of like political intrigue going on, because there is this country, this like race of peoples that is wanting to rebel and create an uprising against the emperor. The emperor seems really horrible, and there's these two girls that are caught on like either side of this larger war and are being pulled in different directions, but also feel this pull to one another. So it's definitely a very like interesting concept and setup. So I'm very excited to see where it goes, and I'm definitely enjoying it. Been listening to the audio in tandem with reading it, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. The audiobook narrator is really excellent. So I am enjoying this one so far, and I will let you know my final thoughts once I am finished, and we'll see if we can be 5 for 5 in this vlog. That would be really crazy. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we can do that, because that would be iconic. I will be back when I finish with the Jasmine Throne. Hello. I don't know if I've ever worn this shirt on camera before, and I have to show it off. This is limited edition, one of a kind Rumi's Digest merch. This is Christine's Cat Sherman, if you didn't know, and I am obsessed with this shirt. It's like my most prized possession. I love it so much. Thank you, Christine. Sherman has my heart, and I'm so proud to wear him all the time, every day. Anyway, I am here to talk to you because I finished The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri this morning. This book is so good. It was so good. It was so good. I can't believe that we're having a full streak of 5 stars in this video. Like, that is crazy. I feel like, I don't know. I didn't even know that I was gonna have this many 5 stars this year. Like, this is such a good like reading vlog to end out the year. Like, I found so many new favorite books, and this is one of them. This was so good. Like, the second half of this book, I was on the edge of my seat, and I also loved how the romance built. There were so many like beautiful moments, and also like Malini and Priya both just came into themselves and claimed their power like as women in this world, and this has turned into like this huge feminist story, and they are both just like fighting for what's right and fighting for the empire and just like stepping into their own. And at the end I was just like cheering them on so hard. I was like, fuck yeah, you do that, you crush those men beneath your boot, they don't matter, you do. It was truly amazing, truly incredible, so well written. I listened to the audio and read along with the book, and I really enjoyed that experience. The audiobook narrator was excellent, and it just was really helped me immerse myself in the story and not get caught up on like how to pronounce names and things, because there are quite a few like fantasy-esque names, all kind of inspired by like Indian culture and mythology and lore. So that was just really helpful for me to like know how to pronounce the names and like the places and the things that they were talking about and like not stumble over them. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well, and would recommend doing that if you have the means and the time. But yeah, this was such an immersive, wonderful, beautiful, lovely story, and I freaking loved it, and I cannot wait to read the rest of this series. I literally bought them when I was in London the other day, because I think Tasha Suri is like from the UK, so they were all signed and they had pretty book plates in them, and I was like, I have to have these. And they're not as like chunky as this book. This book is humongous for like no reason. Like, this is a standard hardcover and it's taller than this paperback. Crazy. But I loved the story. I thought it was so good, and you need to read it right now. This is like criminally underrated. It was amazing. All right, and that is the last book that we're reading in this vlog. So here they all are. I can't believe they are all 5 stars. I loved them all dearly so much. I feel like if you made me pick favorite, I feel like this one was my favorite. This is just so classically like what I love to read, and it was just so beautifully done. The yearning and the pining and the romance in this was amazing, incredible, and I feel like I don't know which one of these to put second. Like, they were incredible for different reasons. They're not at the top because these are more fantasy and plot focused than romance focused. That romance is just like has my true heart and my true love, and that's why this one is number 1. But these two were both like equally twisty, plotted so well, fantasy worlds incredible, with a lot of great character development and growth, and I came to love the characters, and I'm excited to see where they go, and hopefully like more romance will be a part of this in the future of both of these. So these are definitely up there as well. And then this one was so much freaking fun. I was obsessed with it. I just thought it was so like campy and like a lighthearted and just a fun time. Just a good fun time. And then of course this one was amazing as well. Like, such a good sequel. Even though I don't think The House in the Cerulean Sea really needed a sequel, this like felt very timely, very pure, very hopeful, and I really enjoyed being back in this world with these characters. So it's literally so hard to rank these. I mean, as we've already discussed, they are all fully 5 stars. I fully loved all of them, and I want to put all of them on my favorites of the year list. So I'm glad that I'm finishing this book before that video comes out so that I can rearrange my ranking because all 5 of these books I loved so much. I loved them so much. Another successful installment in this series. I can't wait for the new year to do another one of these. I'm already so excited because they are such a good way to like find my favorite books, and they've really shown me that queer SFF is like where it's at for me. That's where my heart lies. Those are always my favorite books. I always have such good success with these types of videos, so I'm so excited to do more of them in the future, and I loved every minute of filming this video. It was so great. It was so fun. I love these books so much. Please read them. Yeah, let me actually know in the comments below if you have read them, and let me know your thoughts. I would love to chat about them. And if you would like to purchase any of these from my recommendation, I have links in the description. These are affiliate links. They are no extra cost to you, but a way to support the channel. Earn a tiny commission if you purchase through my link, but no pressure. They are just there for your convenience. Free ways to support this channel: liking this video, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing if this is your first time here. If you're not already, I would appreciate you sticking around. I talk about exclusively queer books on this channel, so expect more content like this from me in the future. I'm also currently doing sort of a modified vlogmas and posting extra videos in December, so definitely hit the bell notification down below to be notified of anytime I post a new video. You can also follow me on social media. Those links are in the description, and I think that is everything I have to say. So thank you so much for watching the video and for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.